Damn, yo, what the fuck? Yo, what kind of an update is this gonna be, man? God damn, bro. Like, we're gonna have... They're gonna fuck each other up in the interview. Let's watch it. This is a dev update.
Hi, everybody. My name is Greg Henniger. I am a member of the community team, and I'm joined by Scott Lane, the game director. And we heard you loud and clear that you liked the last one.
We did.
So we're here to do another dev update video. We're gonna.
I think this is really important. It's good. The reason why these are good is because it gives the community an idea of where the game is going. Because the fact is, like, nobody has any fucking idea. Like, before they did these updates, it was hard to know. Like, people, the main thing that people wanted for the first few months of New World is all they wanted was a fucking roadmap. Just tell us what's going to happen. Not few months, but like first couple of months. Just give us a roadmap, and this is good. Yeah, this feels good different.
Our best to keep it a little bit shorter this time, but still go into what you're interested in.
Cool.
We're also going to be talking more about current news, things that is coming, in the near future. So some of those topics.
And you can tell that they're hard at work because Scott hasn't shaved in probably 3 weeks. So, I mean, the guy's got a massive fucking neck beard. And you can tell that, like, yeah, he shaved like once a month ago, and that was the last time. So anytime that you see a developer that looks haggard, that he looks like basically he came off the fucking streets. They just found this guy underneath a bridge, and it's like, hey, man, come tell everybody what's happening with our billion-dollar game because you're actually in charge of it. Anytime you see a guy like that, you know that real work is getting done.
Topics might be, January. We're going to deep dive into January. The PTR, what you can expect, how we use it on our team. February is really about bugs and polish. We're going to deep dive into that. Then we're going to have Dave V back on to talk about weapon balance and
how about
future
great
things coming
swords
to the weapons.
Talk about that.
And at the end of the show, we're going to have questions from you, the community, and from our creators.
Yeah, and you might notice we're unmasked, and I just want to make sure everyone is clear that we take COVID very seriously.
Oh, fuck, dude. Like, this is the worst thing. Like, people that complain. I saw people, like, during COVID that were mad because, like, a streamer that lives with another streamer, they're not wearing masks while they're on camera together. Meanwhile, they fucking live together. Like, there are some people, like, I am a very reasonable person with COVID stuff, right? I'm totally on board with, like, social distancing. Like, yeah, like, I've been social distancing for fucking 30 years, all right? I get it. But there are some people that take shit way too far.
When you see today, will have been tested within the last 24 hours and cleared to be here. I also want to echo what Greg touched on. The last video came out a lot longer than we wanted, so we're going to do everything we can to keep this thing to 45
Just like leveling professions.
We will try. We'll definitely try. Yeah. We're extending the winter convergence event. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, when we were, over the break, we noticed that people were responding in a really good way to it, and we thought that it...
Imagine that. People that said that they liked the game, they just wanted new content, and you gave them new content, and they liked it. Isn't that crazy how these things can happen? Yeah, the Winter Convergence event was good. It was just a universally good thing. There were no negatives to it. Yes, farming out every item was ridiculous. However, it was a universal W.
A lot of people didn't get the opportunity to play over the break, so we thought we'd leave it running an extra 2 weeks to give more people the chance to experience it and play it.
Nice. So did you jump in? Did it
change
your play style at all?
Yeah, it had a really positive effect on me. Probably one of the reasons I wanted to extend it. When you get to the higher levels of the game, the mid to end game,
there's nothing to do, right?
You don't really go through those starter zones. You find yourself just kind of fast traveling around them.
Right.
This got me running
fast traveling,
and they actually felt different. Seeing the lost presence on the ground, and if you just happen to be lucky enough to see a Gleamite meteor come in, it's like it was a wow moment. It felt really cool.
It was really cool.
And even the winter festival, going over to those locations and getting those special rewards, it just created a lot of fun and reminded me how cool the world is and how easy it is to get lost in the world. So I really...
Yeah, I actually agree with it. I think Scott's right in this case. The fact is that, like, the Winter Convergence event did do a really good job to get people to go down to, like, first light. Like, when the fuck do you ever go down to first light? Never. Why would you ever want to be there? So, yeah, it actually did do a good job.
Yeah, I loved the, like, Aurora Borealis that was in the sky, and it kind of just gave New World this fresh paint.
Great.
So if you guys haven't checked it out, you should definitely jump in. So this is going to be a great episode, and let's get started.
Yeah, we're super excited.
All right. Let's see how excited we really are.
All right, and now we are joined by Mike Willett, the World Experience Lead, and Dave Verifai, the Creative Director. Yeah. So this first question is going to be for you, Dave. What are some of the main features that we're going to be able to expect coming in January?
There's two main features we're releasing with January. The first is obviously mutators. We talked about it a little bit last time.
Yep. That's Mythic Plus.
Mutators are a way to sort of enhance and make the expedition experience even more challenging, right? So there's 10 difficulty levels.
Let me pause this real quick. I just want to see it. The minimum players 3, 5 expedition items, 4 difficulty items. I think this is cool. Like, I want to try to see what this is like. Whenever this shit comes out, I'm going to play it. We're going to play it. We're going to get into it. Watching a New World video in the WoW category? Bitch, why don't you shut the fuck up? Or I'm going to go into the Final Fantasy category. I'll stream it over there. Suck a dick. I don't want to hear you talking to me again. I'm going to pull a Rich if you fucking say that shit again. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Like I give a fuck what category I'm in.
Players sort of climb through over time, and as they do
Censored.
that, not only do the enemies get
It's
harder,
like
but we
Twitter.
have new challenges like the curses, and what we're seeing in PTR.
What is this here? Players receive debuffs. Using abilities depletes a global affliction. When the affliction is depleted, a zone is cast on all players, which silences players in the area. After the affliction expires, the zones detonate, dealing fire damage to players within the radius. Truncated. While a silent zone are active, all players lose natural mana regeneration. Standing in the silent zone grants a large amount of mana regeneration. Holy fuck, that's going to be annoying.
Is that, we released the first set of mutators, right? There's a rotation that they go through.
I wonder where they got that
from. Those will change every week and bring new challenges, and the dungeons that are being mutated will change. So it's a way to sort of increase the challenge of,
it's a good idea.
Expeditions, and also sort of continue to add
There's actually mechanics,
yeah, as we sort of shuffle the schedule and shuffle which expeditions are being mutated.
Nice. Mike, is there anything that might not be considered a main feature like mutators that we should still be excited about coming in January?
Yeah, absolutely. So because
is it a new type of turkey
are being released, we want players to be able to get to those locations quicker. So we've added 6 additional spirit shrines throughout Eternum. So a lot of those are going to be co-located next to obviously which expeditions are getting mutations, but also towards the end game content like arenas. So
see, this is good because nobody fucking wants to. In my opinion, like the problem with this is like I think they are almost there. You know what I think they should do if you want to start an arena? I think that you should just go to a specific spot. One person goes to the spot. It starts the arena for everybody. Like everybody gets teleported in. One person gets in there. They do it. It's done. Like I think that New World tries too hard to create player permanence in the area that they're at. Yeah, they tried too hard to do that, and I think that in doing that, it just makes it boring for players because it's like there's so much of a focus put on the immersion and the world of New World, which I think is fair in a way, but it's only enjoyable whenever you're doing it voluntarily. If you have to walk through this entire area, the travel time for the dungeon takes longer than the dungeon. I mean, that's not a good system. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just not a fucking good system. And that's what happens, is it takes more time. And also, like, the Azoth, like, at least now, like, you can just spend Azoth. Like, reducing Azoth costs as well, I think it'd be great. But this is a really good step that they're making. And so I'm not trying to shit on them or anything like that because I do think that this is an improvement. It is an absolute improvement.
For those, in addition to that, we reduced the cost of fast travel. So
it is good.
It won't cost as much as off.
Okay. And this one's for you, Dave. So why did we decide to introduce a new resource instead of just increasing the gear score? I know a lot of people are talking about that.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that sort of gets to the second main feature we released here, which is the Umbral upgrade system. So
the fuck is that?
Players will be upgrading their gear via Umbral materials, and we did that rather than just sort of introduce gear that goes to 625 organically in the world. in that we didn't want to invalidate all the gear that people have acquired already, right? So people that have acquired their really cool 600 Legendary, or even now we've announced the 590 cool gear, can use Umbral to upgrade. So they can sort of continue to invest in what they've acquired already. And
that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good. This is actually good. No, that's bad. Why is it bad? You don't have to refarm your gear. That's the main thing that people were worried about, that they had to, because it invalidates new gear. No, it doesn't. Yeah, this is an actual good change. It's expertise locked? Well, no shit. Expertise is the core of the game. Listen, if you're having trouble with expertise right now in New World, it's because you're not playing the fucking game. Just play the fucking game and you're going to get your expertise levels up. I mean, really, like, I get it's not horizontal progression. No, it's not horizontal because it's going from 600 to 625. It's just better. Yeah, it's just fucking better. We're still talking about this game? Shut up, bitch. Shut the fuck up, bitch. I can't even read your name because it's got dark letters. And I'm using dark mode on the game. I don't even know your fucking name. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, we're still talking about this game. I'm about to fucking play it if you keep complaining.
Build the power of that rather than have to go out and get completely new gear. So I think it's a
good,
cool
yeah, that's good.
And it
that is good.
Cool resource that players can get through, mainly mutators, but also through the gypsum casts and crafting. Yeah. So we're trying to integrate a lot of different ways to get
that is good
into the game.
Is it going to affect?
You get Umbral shards through your gypsum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a great question. So expertise we're raising the cap of expertise to 625. And we're sort of integrating the expertise and gypsum together. So as you use gypsum to increase your gear after 600, each point upgrade that you get will also increase your expertise. So that's how you'll increase your expertise past 600. Previous to 600, it'll be the current means, the gypsum.
Whenever he said gypsum, he meant Umbral shards, didn't he? Because that's what would logically make sense. I think he means both. No, he doesn't. Okay, maybe I don't understand it entirely. I guess I'll have to play it and figure it out. I might log on to New World in a little bit and just get an idea of what's going on. You have to refine them. Yeah, see, like, I haven't played New World in like a week or so. So I'm a little bit behind.
The bumps you get in the world, things like that. But after that, it'll be the Umbral system.
Okay, awesome. And I know a lot of people have been talking about this next question, so of course I'm going to give it to you, Mike.
Oh, me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Why did we decide to rely on tuning orbs for mutated expeditions as well?
Because you like to fuck us in the ass. I already know the answer to this. Yes, I already know the answer. Do you know here, guys, I'm going to make a list of the good things about tuning orbs. All right, we're done. So, yeah, I'd like to know why we're doing this.
We needed a method of control of access, basically because we want to make the rewards very valuable to players. So we want to make sure that your time investment is equal to the reward that you're going after. So that was the initial impetus for that system. So in January, we're going to allow players to also purchase them in the faction shop and craft them.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
Bigger differences, and we're going to monitor through the PTR. And play sessions,
that's actually good.
What is that rate? Does it need to, increase or decrease based upon play patterns and basically feedback from the community and what we're seeing in the actual data? So we're going to look forward to seeing how all that stuff plays out.
Yeah.
So by the time this is released, we might have already gotten data because we're, released in the past now for the viewers.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to add to that. I think, in the past, I think we were probably a little too strict on our gating, right? And I think this is the first step in sort of loosening that with adding access to the faction shop. And we'll be continuing to look at it. And I think, make sure we hit a balance that feels good for everyone.
And something else to note is that we're going to make the vanilla expeditions, those keys available in the faction shop as well. So that's going to be a big difference. And then once you've
that's good.
Defeated the vanilla version of the expedition, you'll receive the codex for going into the mutated version.
So you get it tuned, basically.
And
I like that.
Those keys are universal, so you can use any mutated orb in any mutated expedition.
Okay.
Holy shit.
All right. So I know when we look at like the PTR,
I'm going to have to really kind of play this out to understand the intricacies of it. Because right now it's like I'm hearing something and it's like, what does this really mean? I'm not 100%, but like, yeah, that sounds good. Just means you have to grant faction missions instead of portals. Not that different, to be honest. Well, what it really means is you can do either or. To me, that's what it means, is you can do one or the other.
We also look at the forums, we look at anecdotal evidence, but looking at data and how players are interacting directly in game is really important to us as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just one vector that we gain, our knowledge of like how the game's being ingested and like how players are going about like defeating things. So we're going to try to look at like what were their gear score values for when they cleared certain difficulties.
Right.
That's smart.
Which mutations
WoW
are
does the same thing.
Obscenely hard, and for what given reason. So
yeah, to make sure, because like that's one thing that like WoW has, where like there are some affixes that are just like way harder than other affixes. This was always an issue with like in Legion. You remember how easy Sanguini was? And it's like Sanguini was like a million fucking times easier than explosive or bolstering or whatever, right? Or necrotic. So you've got to make sure that doesn't happen.
Much scale that we can do internally, and then we get a lot more data once we have a lot more people playing. And so we're starting to see pretty awesome patterns in Lazarus and Garden of Genesis and Dynasty.
Awesome.
So
right.
that's the 3 dungeons they're going for is Lazarus, Garden of Genesis, and Dynasty. Are those the only 3 dungeons that have mutators? Is it just those 3? Yes? Okay. So far, that's a good start. I'm glad that we've got Dynasty Shipyard. I'm really glad to see that. Because it's like, what do you even really do with Dynasty Shipyard after you hit fucking 60? Nothing. And it's a good dungeon that you just never experience again. Like, in my opinion, I think that the Depths sucks. I think that Starstone fucking Burrows, whatever it is, the place in Everfall, that dungeon is the best dungeon, basically. Because it has like all these environmental difficulty things and like all kinds of other stuff is really cool. I always thought Amrine Expedition was garbage. I think there was another one somewhere in there. I forgot which one it is, but it's obviously not even memorable enough for me to remember what it is. So yeah, it's got hazards, exactly. Dynasty's the best. I think that it's hard to say Dynasty isn't the best. Yes, I like Starstone a lot too, though.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely.
PTR, expectations and what we've learned. Okay.
Now we are joined by Katie Kaczynski, the senior producer. I know we talked a little bit about it in this last segment,
yes.
Talking about the PTR, but what have we learned so far in the January release, things that we found off the PTR?
So one of the big things that we kind of touched upon in our last segment was just the frequency of mutator orbs and how you get them, and that's something that's like high on our list to just keep aware of and monitor like usage and playthroughs and completion times, things like that. Next thing we're looking at is, and this was some feedback that came in that we're examining, is like how can we get lower level expeditions mutated? So it's a really good question. The things that we're dealing with are
exactly. That's what I was just talking
have
about.
Like the same length of time of experience. Also, does it have the same number of bosses, same number of chests? So it's things that we need to equate to see if there's value there. So that's another thing that we're exploring.
I think they're worried about the reason why they're saying this is they're worried that if they make one of the lower level dungeons mutatorable or whatever you want to call it, and then everybody just only runs that dungeon because it's the easiest. It's the easiest one. You see what I'm trying to say? And so it's important to make sure that there isn't one that's way easier than the other ones, because that actually is not diversity of gameplay, because it makes it to where everybody does the exact same thing. Give me just 1 second, okay, guys? I unfortunately am not doing cocaine. I have to blow my nose sometimes, and it sounds disgusting. So I mute the mic.
One of the other big things that we found, and including in our own playthroughs and PTRs, some of the named enemies coupled with some of the mutations are really hard, very difficult. So that's something that we're modifying and we'll continue to balance.
See, I'm so glad they said that shit, because this is the same fucking garbage that happened with Diablo 3. Is that with Diablo 3, do y'all remember the abominations? And no, it was that one mob type. Remember, it was this mob type in Diablo 3 It was like these gigantic like minotaurs, and they had 4 arms and they had cleavers. And if you hit an elite pack of those mobs, it was totally fucking different than if you hit an elite pack of, you know, the worms or something like that, of the Golgors. Yeah, the big... I'm coming over to you. I'm gonna get you. You know, like that was, you never had to worry about them, but you had these other dudes that are fucking moving at 1,000 miles an hour, teleporting behind you, nothing personnel, and you're fucking dead. So it's important to make sure that you don't have affixes that behave in just like completely overpowered ways with certain types of NPCs. See what I'm saying?
Back and see data.
Yeah, are you going to want to try to keep some of them on the higher level just to like get the people who really want to go after the super tough stuff?
It depends if it's.
I hope difficulty is good if it's not random. Like, for example, if one dungeon is like way harder than the other ones, again, that's not fun because you're doing the same amount of work. Or sorry, you're doing way more work for the same amount of reward. Like, effort has to correlate with reward. It doesn't have to be a 1-to-1, but it shouldn't be a 5-to-1.
If it's a good strategy. Like, meaning like, oh, there's a mechanic around this, and it's something that players can overcome or use tactics to, like, defeat.
Yeah.
But if it's just straight up broken, then, yeah, that's a problem.
Right.
So
exactly.
There's a fine
good
line
mindset
between fun and
right.
Please kill me.
Exactly. Exactly.
One thing I wanted to add, I think another piece of feedback we got on the Umbral system during PTR is that requiring items to be gear score 600 to use Umbral to upgrade them was a bit onerous. Like, people said, hey, these are really hard to get. Sometimes you get bad luck, and you've been chasing for one for a long time. And if you don't have them, it feels like you're locked out of the system.
Yep.
And I think, you know, we do want to make legendaries very valuable, but we hear that feedback and totally understand it. So one of the things we're looking into now is reducing that minimum requirement from 600 to 590. And I think that'll be great. It'll allow people to take the really good, you know, because sometimes you get 2 great perks, and it's like,
that's good.
I didn't get that third, but it's still a really strong 590,
good.
595. This will allow you to upgrade that to 600, and then from there take it all the way to 625 with the Umbral system. So I think that'll be a change that seems to be exciting to players.
Nice. So speaking of things that we've
that's
a
good
PTR,
thing.
is there anything that we learned from past PTRs that really helped, you know, improve the PTR when right now and
Shipment 595?
Yeah, I think the biggest things we learned is
good insight.
You've got to make sure players can test what you're giving, right? So make sure the backstories, those are the things where you choose the character. It has all the right equipment, it has all the things you need. Make sure the crafting stations are at tier 5. Unlock all the fast travel points, give A's off. Make sure players can test. The other thing we learned is that the more we can provide patch notes about what all the changes are in the PTR, the more players can test that. And you know, I know the patch notes weren't fully complete again this time.
They were not. So yeah, and that honestly, that was a tough decision to make because the patch notes weren't done.
Yeah.
So when we had the holiday, we had just the way that we moved those fixes through our branches.
Yeah.
We didn't have the notes in a good spot at the time that we needed to start the PTR so that we could get the right amount of testing on that build. So we were like, let's just put out these patch notes that are incomplete.
The shit out there,
we'll let folks know that they're not complete, and we'll continuously update them to get more of the information in. And by not complete, it meant that like there were things in the PTR that we just hadn't had the time to put into the notes yet, because that is, again, like we talked about in the last dev stream,
it makes sense.
There's a lot that goes into it. So so we posted it because we wanted folks to have that first, like, this is the stuff that we fixed, this is what we did, there's more coming, and it was a mix of thank you for this and just utter outrage because they thought that we had made like stealth changes, and we were like, no, we just were behind. And
well, the thing is, like, the reason why people think that is like that's the shit that happened on like the first 2 patches, and like that's why people get pissed off about it. That's why they think that. It's like, it's again what I was talking about before with like Blizzard and like the whole trust thing. People thought that they were doing it on purpose because that's what happened before. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I think. It keeps happening every patch. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
getting them out. So they've been updated since, and they'll continue to be updated throughout the PTR. So the lesson learned there is that we need to get as many of the notes, even if they're not in like the best form. We just need to get them out to the players when they start the PTR.
Yeah.
So so that was a miss this time. We did better than we did the last time. So we're incrementally getting better. But it definitely wasn't in the shape that we wanted it this last time.
But some people took it as a challenge to like scavenger hunt and find the specific things. So speaking of the PTR, can you talk about
and that's
the
because it's
PTR
happened
coming out for
before.
February and when we should expect PTR releases compared to monthly releases?
Yeah, so there is a PTR for February. So the interesting thing about February, in case folks are not aware, is that February is just a like bug fix month. There's no major content that's coming with the February release. We have some things that we're focusing on for that to make sure that we get a good amount of fixes in and we make a real difference for the players that have been asking for things for a long time.
That's fine because like they're increasing the eye level. They're adding in mutators and shit like that. That's a lot of stuff for them to already have. So like I think that's fine, and like the odds are like they'll probably be like small things, and it's also like I forgot. It's also the month of Lost Ark. So the truth is, like, a lot of guys that are playing New World are going to go over and play Lost Ark that month anyway. So, like, that's why. That makes sense. It all fits together.
To work on. It's just that they haven't had the testing that they need for us to feel safe to put them out into the wild.
Yeah, true.
So as far as when we start a PTR, we want to give ourselves enough time to react. So there's not a specific time frame that we're going to be pushing on a PTR, but we definitely want to give ourselves at least 2.5 weeks, generally longer, before we do a release that we would want that to be in PTR. We learned the first PTR when we gave ourselves like 7 days. That was, we were like, we'll just do scale testing, we'll check to make sure that like the servers can handle it, and then we're good. And what we found out was that we were not good. We were the opposite of good. Players felt like we lost their trust, and we felt like we lost their trust.
Yeah, people were pissed off.
We've been gaining it back
This
since
is with the PTR stuff in the past.
By providing the PTRs far enough in advance that we can listen to them, take their advice, and find out what the biggest sticking points are and address those before things get released into the live game.
Yeah. Now I know that like the dev team likes to jump into the live game and interact with players there, and read chat and see what finger on the pulse of the live service. Do you guys jump into PTR?
Oh yes.
You're in there constantly?
Oh yes. It was pretty visible the last time.
Oh really?
Yeah, we ran our. Some people may have seen our Merc Guard run. That was done in the PTR last month.
I never got a chance to watch this.
We also had scheduled some days where usually we have internal playtests for the next release. So we'll have something for the PTR. We want our players to tell us what's going on with that because we've already tested it internally with our smaller group. So we want them to kind of focus internally on future stuff. Well, last time we were like, no, everybody into the PTR, pile in, let's see what's going on. This is a big release. We have a lot coming up. We want to get this tested. And players noticed because we have some amazing folks on our team who have been level 60 for forever. Like they are like the tried and true, and then you have very casual people, and we just kind of walked into some situations that maybe we shouldn't have walked into because we're like, oh, I can solo this like level 60 elite area. Why not? I was like, I'm level 60. I can go to Cutlass Keys and solo these level 40 elites. No, cannot.
What the hell?
Not a chance. So yeah, so we jumped.
Those
in
are
and
easy.
We'll join. It might not be noticeable because you have to have a specific.
Just use a
build that calls
hatchet.
you out with like different UI in chat, but they join for sure. So we just won't tell you who we are. It's a secret.
All right, awesome, thanks.
Okay, community questions, servers, bugs, and bots.
Now we have Katie and Scott back at the table, but now we're joined by Scott Geiser, the senior gameplay engineer.
Two Scotts.
This first question's for you, Katie. Can you give us a little more insight when we're going to see the next round of server transfers being available? I know everyone's talking about it. Everyone wants to know.
People have been wondering about this shit.
I want to know too. Just kidding. So we we did less than ideal merges in December. So we had this grand plan to merge all of the worlds that were struggling.
That had the names,
into a world that would be good, right? So it's that means that either it's multiple worlds struggling into one world, and because of their populations and
it comes
the
together.
type of populations that they had, that one world would now be what we consider healthy, or it was a low population world into an already healthy server. So those were our two that we were working with most often. Unfortunately, or fortunately actually, right before we were going to do those, like literally the night before we were going to announce, we discovered this housing persistence issue, which would have been really awful if that had gone out into the live world. And if we had merged worlds, it would have been really bad, and we don't want to do that. So we had to fix this housing persistence issue, which is being fixed and being tested, and it's coming out soon.
So then we're going to have transfers.
And then once that's done, we need to complete that first round of merges. We're calling it Merge 1.5. So we had round 1 in December.
Okay.
Round 1.5 will be right after we fix the housing persistence issue, which we'll let folks know in the forums, like, hey, this is done. This is completed. I know that there's a lot of threads on it, but there's like an official post from community.
Right.
So on that post, we'll let folks know that it's been done and that we're going to move forward with round 1.5 of those merges.
Good.
Once those are done, then we can open up
That's good.
character transfers again. So the merges are done by us. We merge worlds together. We call the final world a destination world, and the other worlds are our source worlds. Character transfers are initiated by the player. So those are not full worlds moving over, and they go by a separate but somewhat similar set of rules. And those have also been put on hold because of the housing persistence issue, because you bring your house with you, right? So until that was fixed, we couldn't do the rest of this. And we were planning to open the this is like, there's so much here. This is so much planning.
It's a domino effect,
It's like what we had wanted in a perfect world was that all these merges would have been done mid in December. And then right after that, we can open up the character transfer, so that after you've soaked in the world and seen whether or not this is the right world after merge for you and your company, if you decide to go somewhere else.
Somebody said the New World is down to 70K people at peak. One reason for that is you literally can't make new characters in New World right now. I'm not saying that's the main reason. It's also because the game hasn't innovated enough, but that is a factor.
And you have this token, and you can go where you would like to go, like whichever world you're going to have the most fun playing on. Because of the persistence issue, all those plans got moved back. So
there's a bug and they couldn't do it in time. Okay, that's fine.
Then we will open up the second
round
that's
fine with me.
Transfer tokens for the player initiated
Okay,
ones.
so it's going to be a second token and not just the first token
it's
people
whatever.
are sitting on.
And I think the high level takeaway is this is hugely important to us.
Yeah.
Both transfers and merges are a huge priority.
Yeah.
But we're not going to break things trying to get them rushed in. So they're going to happen soon, and that's about as exact as we can get right now. But we're actively working on it.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I know the community is knocking down our door for that answer. So hopefully we'll get that out. Another thing people are knocking down our door for answers on is kind of the status of some of the major bugs. Scott, do you have that in your back pocket?
Yeah. So all the different gameplay teams have their own priority list of bugs, and we try and take care of the biggest ones first. For this next update, we've closed hundreds of bugs. Some of the big notable highlight ones, I know I saw a lot of videos of people drowning on land on YouTube, so that should be fixed. There was an issue blocking if you swap back to your original faction, you couldn't progress to get to the top rank anymore. So that will be fixed. And then I know another hot button issue is the Void Gauntlet sliding and the animation canceling on the bow to fire way faster than you're really supposed to. So those will be in the upcoming fixes.
That's good.
As well.
That's good, yeah.
Scott didn't mention the weapon swap issue that there's been a lot of concerns about.
Great.
Primarily because that's not really a bug. We're going to go deep on that in a little bit with Dave Hall, as well as the weapon desync issue. We're going to have an update on that. There are a few more fixes, though, that we can talk about. We have the Outpost Rush. There's a bunch of fixes in Outpost Rush, but the one that people have been complaining about is the Brute's meatball attack is happening a little too often.
That's whenever they throw the meteors at you.
And it'll be more expensive to get the Brute as well.
It'll be more expensive to get them. And then also we have the housing tax change.
That's good.
So before we had the housing tax, the players felt it was too high.
Yeah.
This is because New World is actually just a massive psyop created by Jeff Bezos to change public perception that actually taxes are too high, and to change people's view of taxes in the world. And so New World tax is very high because, again, the entire game is a psyop to allow Jeff to make more money. That's why.
Huge reduction in cost in that through the holiday time.
Yeah.
Now we're going to come back and put the cost where we think it is, and it's not going to be as high as it was, and it's not going to be as low as it's been discounted to. We think it's going to be a happy median that works for everybody.
Okay. I know we
talked. It was 1,000 gold, and we moved it down to 100. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it 998. Now, it's not as much as it was before, but it's not quite as cheap as it is now. But it's somewhere in the middle, guys. Like, as I said before, I think that the housing tax just sucks, and it should just stay at like what the price is now. It's not fun. No one likes paying taxes. Find other ways to remove gold from the economy. It just sucks.
About it a lot in the last previous dev update video. Really dug deep into exploits, duplication bugs, bans. What has happened between that video and today?
Yeah, so there's been a lot going on in that regard. It's one of the team's biggest priorities. Obviously, the health of the game economies is kind of central to our game, so we need to do whatever we can to protect that. So, it's a lot of different teams are contributing there, like the customer service team. They're changing some of their workflows to make it quicker for them to respond to reports from players about bots and things that you see.
I mean, all this is good.
As well as,
this is all good.
So, player reports are a huge part of how we're able to combat these things. And so, that it's super helpful. And reducing the amount of time from when the report's sent to when customer service rep is looking at it and investigating it makes a huge difference. Also, like I said in the last update, we don't just use the reports. We also have to correlate that with telemetry because we don't want reports to be weaponized against players and things like that.
Exactly.
So we've done a lot of work.
That's been an issue. People are reporting to get other people banned.
More easily accessible to customer service so that when they do get a report, they can say oh, and this player has already triggered these alarms or whatever, and so we can action them quicker as well. And then finally,
those are thresholds, Z-axis thresholds and shit. WoW has that.
Bot programs, and we work with our partners at Easy Anti-Cheat so that they can identify signatures for some of these things.
Yeah.
And EAC can handle identifying and banning machines that are using these bot programs as well. And so I think since the last time we talked, I think maybe about 9,000 or so bot accounts have been actioned on.
Awesome.
That's a lot of fucking people.
Then,
Holy shit.
I think maybe about 6
God damn.
that we're running programs maybe we haven't identified, but that we've banned as well just through investigation.
Yeah. Has the PTR been helpful in finding some of these things? Feedback from the community and reports from the PTR?
Not for bots specifically, but for exploits for sure.
Great.
Yeah, for sure. I've gotten quite a few messages on the forums, direct messages. Please do not post publicly about exploits, please.
Please.
So I've gotten a lot of messages, and so have some of the other developers and community managers informing us of things that people are able to exploit on the PTR. So we've been able to address that before it's gone live and become a big.
That's definitely a good thing.
So that has been great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Looking forward a little bit, what are some of the bug fixes we're going to look for in February? Are there specific ones people should be aware of? Ones that may have taken a little bit longer that we're now finally getting into to February?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a lot of bug fixes. There's not really one that's outstanding because this isn't a major.
I feel like a lot of the really, really bad bugs have pretty much been fixed. Things that are game breaking that affect not only the individual that's doing them, but the entire player base. Most of those bugs are pretty much gone, which is a good thing.
Feature update, we're not making those big content changes. But we do have some bug fixing verticals that we're focusing on. So the two that are near and dear to me that I know that the team is working on is they're doing a full pass on missing ingredients and recipes, mats, and searchability in the trading post.
Yeah, that was
items.
bad for
They're
like
doing
2
a full
months.
pass on that. And then also perks and abilities. So bug fixing on those, which I know is going to be really fun and exciting for the players.
Yeah, that's the thing is like a lot of the perks, like people found out that many of the perks just didn't work, which is like, it was so dumb. Like it's like, it's so hard to test it because you don't really have a combat log. And it was just, oh God, like resilient on release and like a bunch of other stuff. And they still don't. Yeah. And so like, I'm glad that they're actually just going to fix this.
To finally like not have to get to me on the forums and tell me about how wrong these things are. I know that like we are listening for sure. It just is.
I mean, that's good.
Are really big, and sometimes they touch a lot of different files, and it's dangerous for us to put into the smaller updates. So we've been working on those. Those are two that are near and dear to me, although there's definitely more verticals that we're looking into.
Yeah, another one that's important to me is throughout development, when you add stuff to the game, you sometimes break existing stuff.
Yes.
And this is manifested in ways that frustrate me through missions and quests not being completable. So we have a goal to fix every one of those. So we're going to go through, hey, the quest marker's taking you to the wrong spot, or the drop isn't happening, or in some cases we've broken something like in
that's good.
Or the
Great.
faction quest line, the faction changing quest line I meant. To have all of those, to make sure that those are all bulletproof as well. Like this period of February, it's exciting because, you know, there are often different
I think it's like they're kind of like making up for lost time because like a lot of the game, like the game came out and it was just so buggy. And it was very obvious that like New World was not really in a release state. It just wasn't. It was not in a release state whenever it came out. And now they're kind of, I'm sure they probably feel good about finally like figuring out all of the bugs and being able to just move forward with the game rather than constantly feeling like you're on the back foot, like covering problems that were in the game since release, so that this is a good thing.
People making features than fixing bugs, but to get that pure focus on bugs at this point is really exciting.
Nice.
And we know that people want it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really great. All right, thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, combat, weapons, and balancing. All right, I'm very interested.
And now we're joined by Dave Verifei again, but we have another Dave at the table, Dave Hall, the player experience lead. So this question is going to be for you first. The Great Axe, the Rapier, the Fire Staff, the Ice Gauntlet, these weapons probably have the most discussion threads in the forums with players thinking
people
use
them the most. Yeah.
Other players thinking they're too strong. How does the team feel about that?
That's a great question. Yeah, we have a lot of feedback on these weapons, and we're constantly looking at it. And I think we feel like we're getting to a place that's very close. And we are going to be making some changes to these weapons, but they're going to be minor. So there's no major issues coming up with us.
That's good. Yeah, it's like a huge change that just like, especially because people spend a long time like trying to get like the perfect weapon or like something that's really, really good. And then like you finally fucking get it and it gets nerfed completely. Like I've always hated that like WoW does that sometimes where like it takes something that's like the highest performer and it makes it the second to lowest performer.
Feel like there's any major changes coming down the pipe for these. So we want to make sure we're going to be doing slight balances to them and moving from there.
Is that something people will be able to experience on the PTR? Maybe coming up.
Maybe up in the future months. It's not going to be on the current PTR. It'll be probably on the next PTR.
Yeah, I mean, I think every PTR we try to introduce a couple balance changes, and like Dave said, I think we're getting close.
Yeah.
Balance is super hard, especially in a game like ours where there's so many different types of play, right? Like there's solo PvE, group PvE, there's small combat, then there's war. Like there's so many different modes. It's hard to get the balance perfect, right? So
that's true.
But I think we're at the stage where we're going to be making smaller changes, letting them percolate, right? Like sometimes the small changes have way broader impacts than you think about in terms of the meta. So there are some changes coming, but they're going to be smaller in nature, and we're going to be keeping our eye on it.
Okay. Things that have small, impacts. Do you have an update on the desync issue?
I do, yes. So we have a strike team now formed around the desync issues, and we already just put out something in our weekly, which I think came out. Well, by the time the video comes out, it'll be live.
We're living in the past, right?
Yes. And so we already got one major change in there, and we have a lot of smaller changes coming in on the desynced issues, but it is our top priority right now. We have a strike team associated.
Desync is fucking garbage. Anytime that a game has any level of desync, like you guys played PUBG back in the day probably, holy fuck. Like that was, I think the main reason why people quit PUBG was because of the desync. Like, and it's not just desync, it's like everything that surrounds desync. It's like getting shot through a wall, shooting somebody and it's right on them and it doesn't hit them. Things like that. It's just so fucking bad. PoE has had desync issues as well. It's always bad.
With it.
Awesome. Sounds
I'm
good.
glad they're changing it.
Real quick on that, I think it's important for players to realize there's not like a desync issue, right? That's like causing everything.
It's like 10 of them probably.
It's a bunch of different little changes that have caused the server and the client to sort of be mismatched, and they've got a team now focused on this, and they're going through them one by one. They're trying to fix the most onerous ones first, the worst ones, and then go down the list. But it's going to take a while to get them all out.
That makes sense.
It is a focus now, and they're working on the big ones up front.
Yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
that makes sense.
It sounds like people are investigating. We're hyper looking into it.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Dave V, is there anything you can share about the future of combat that people might not know about yet?
Not too much more than we talked about last time. I think, bugs and balance are a big issue for us still and a big focus for us still. So the desync issue, and I think Dave may be talking about weapon swapping next. Some of those big bugs around combat are a high priority for us. So that is taking a lot of the focus of the team. Balance we're going to continue to looking at. So those are some of the big focuses. On top of that, weapons are still a thing. We are working on, and I think we talked about it last time, Blunderbuss is going to be the next weapon.
Give a fuck about that.
We're heavily working on that. We're playing it a lot internally in the team. It's super fun. Definitely brings a new play style to ranged weapons. So we're working on that on future weapons.
I'm sure the blunderbuss will be nice, but let's talk about the greatsword. I mean, come on, like let's get down to business here. Let's talk about some real shit. Like, I give a fuck about a blunderbuss. By the nature of it being a blunderbuss, it sucks. It's basically a pistol shotgun that pirates used. They have like one shot. You fuck that.
So that's the main focus of the team.
I want my goddamn sword.
Scott brought it up a little bit earlier, but what are we doing about the weapon swap delay that some players are experiencing?
So in our next PTR,
this has been an issue for a
have an
while.
update for the players to try out. We have a backtick check on our weapon swap now that's going to really help with the confirmation that you have done a swap, basically. So when you hit that button, you're going to know that swap is going to occur, and it's going to be much more reliable.
That's good. Yeah, that's just...
It is important to note, though, that we do
annoying.
not have instant cancels in for our swaps. That is a big topic for us and something we're not ready to tackle at the moment. It's quite a game changer if we did that right now. So you will still have to wait for the windows for the weapon swap, but it will be queued up correctly now.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for the update on combat, guys.
Okay, great. Community questions, worlds, events, and PvP.
For this last segment, we answered a lot of questions earlier
Answering
in the show,
questions
and all
from
other
the player
segments.
base. Here we go.
The forums, we were scouring Reddit, social media, so it was from, directly from the mouths of our community. And so for this last segment, I want to throw some grab bag, questions from some of our content creators who are, playing our game a lot. So this
see if they
first
took
question is
mine.
going to be for you, Scott. All right, so are there any plans for expanding content in the open world, such as random incursions, or events, or dynamic events,
it's a good question.
stuff of that nature?
Yeah, unfortunately I can't get specific, but I think I've said a few times, and I'll say it again, is the more dynamic the world is, the better it is for us.
Exactly.
When you revisit places...
Well, it's like whenever they added the turkey. Y'all remember whenever they added the turkey? And that was really fucking cool, dude. The turkey was awesome. So this is definitely a good thing. Abso-fucking-lutely. What about the Yeti? Fuck the Yeti. The turkey was way cooler.
In the world, we want it to feel different and to feel new and fresh and exciting. So this is something we're going to carry on.
You know what I know, what everybody knows
going forward, and you can expect to see future updates to completely support open world gameplay.
Yeah, that's
more
good.
Dynamic gameplay for sure.
Okay,
great.
Dave, this one is for you. Can you talk about the philosophy of bumping gear score so soon?
Yeah. This was mine. All right, they got my question. Yeah, this is pretty much what I asked. Is like, what's their philosophy behind like increasing gear score? Okay, great. Let's go.
So the reason we're bumping the gear score now is really to tie in with mutators, right? Like those two features are very well
so you feel
paired.
like you're rewarded
to climb the difficulty ranks and increase their gear score as they were doing it.
See, like what I was concerned with, because like whenever they asked me the question, I didn't know about like the whole Umbral system, and I think it like wasn't fully explained at that time. So what I was really worried about is that what the gear score bump would do is that it would make to where like right now in New World, you have a lot of different ways that you can get gear. Like you can do it through expeditions, you can do it through chest runs, you can do it through crafting. Like those are the three main things, right? The three main in-game, and like also like outpost rush, you can get legendary items from there too. But mainly it's expeditions, chest runs, crafting, and like maybe like something else I'm just not thinking of right now. But if you make it to where you can only get 625 from mutators, then all of the other content in the game is effectively irrelevant in the mind of a player because they only want to work towards the best gear in the game. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I was really concerned about it. That's why I asked this question, because I think it's so important. So you have to know, because like one of the worst things, like this is a complaint that I had with WoW, right? Is that with WoW, every patch, like everything that I did in the previous patch doesn't matter anymore. And I hate that, man. Like I want to be able to, like in Burning Crusade, like, I have a few pieces of gear, like my Aldori Legacy Defender, for example. Like, I'll use that to probably tank Illidan. A few other pieces, like maybe like the Boots of Illusion, are still like one of the best avoidance pieces of gear, and you got that in Karazhan. Casters have a lot of examples of that too, with like Rissen's Lost Pendant, the Shadow Weave set, things like that. And you want to have items that you can carry forward into the next patches, so you don't feel like every patch, like all the work that you did just doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? AQ40 Warrior Trinket still used? Yeah, if you're going for like a super speed kill. We need to do that, actually, by the way. Yeah, we need to do that run. As soon as I get transferred to the Benediction, then we'll go ahead and do that. Legion had one trinket.
Like mutators take a long time to build, right?
But like not really, though.
It's a complex feature that
Convergence of Fates.
Yeah,
so you're right.
We sort of made this decision based on information a long time ago, and we thought this would be the right decision, to increase gear score and have mutators coming out now.
Yeah,
I think if we were making that decision today, I think we see other priorities like some of the bugs and other things that we would focus on, and we might not make that decision today. But just because it's tied with mutators, and we really wanted to get that feature to players, that's why it's happening.
Yeah. Anticipating what players want before your game is out in the wild isn't always the easiest thing in the world.
Right.
We have huge conviction around mutators, as a long-term, healthy, really strong feature for New World. But in hindsight, maybe it is a little earlier than it could have been.
Okay. Let's see. This one's for you. Are there any planned changes or like major overhauls coming to War and Invasion? How does the team feel about their current state?
You know, I've never done an invasion, man. Like, I need to do an invasion just to see what it's like. I want to go, like, now that I know you're going to be able to upgrade your weapons, I want to go and get the God Hatchet. I want to have the hatchet that has fucking keen, vicious, enchanted, and fucking something else that makes it do a lot of damage. Like, I need to get the God Hatchet, and I don't have it. Like, I looked for like fucking every day. This shit was never on the auction house, man. So you get 630 gold. Do it now. I might look at it in a little bit, man, but I want to do this right now, and I don't know what I'm gonna do after this. I haven't decided if I want to do RBGs or what, because I need to keep getting my gear for getting Gladiator.
As a developer, you're never happy with your feature. You always want to make
Can't
it better.
get vicious and enchant on same weapon. Fucking
will be coming down the pipe, smaller, mainly for these ones. Right now, our top priorities are War Declaration and some of the War performance.
War performance is really important.
We've been trying to get better over the time. It's getting a little bit better. We still have a long way to go, though, I think. Yeah,
and I think longer term, no commitment to time or anything here, but We'd love to see casual versions of each of those to get more players the opportunity to try, some of our backup box features like War and Invasion. I think that'd be really cool, and it's
I agree with that.
I have a lot of fun playing them, so I'd like to get more people in there.
That'd be great.
That's great. Dave, the new PvP missions on paper looked great, but in reality are some of the more mundane features of the game, considering it's one of the core features. Can we expect some improvement in the PvP missions, or?
Yes, I mean, I think the changes to the PvP missions, like the actual missions themselves, I do like them better. They're focused more on the actual PvP activity rather than...
See, what like I did, so I never streamed myself doing this because I knew during the beta. So during the beta, I farmed out my entire set of like epic faction gear in one day. And I did that because I knew the best place to farm, and it was at the Great Cleave. It was like the one where you had to like, you click the thing, and then you kill 4 goats, and you click the other thing, and then you run back. And so you could complete that in like 4 minutes. And I knew about this in beta, and that was the first time I did it. So do you remember that one day that I didn't go live at all until like the very evening, and I had all the gear? That's because I sat there that entire day farming out all of the gear because I knew that if I streamed it, I thought they would fucking nerf it because it was so much better than all the other ones. Everyone saw the same Sir Medieval video? Oh, fuck. Yeah, I didn't even see that there was a video on it. Yeah, I saw you in game doing that. Yeah, I ran that shit for like 2 days straight.
And just doing things while flagged. So I think that is an improvement. But yeah, the whole process of flipping a territory, is a little cumbersome. And a certain part of that is by design, right? Like we don't want that to be super, super easy that you can just flip on a whim. So yeah, I can understand the feedback here.
Like 3 hours.
This is something we're looking at. It's not an immediate priority on something that we're going to be jumping on, but we're going to keep our eyes on it.
Okay,
that's good.
And the open world, the environment of New World is really what makes it fantastic.
I agree. I think it's great.
Said they'd love to see an arena built into the side of a cliff or a coliseum. Similar PvP area where people can like watch other people fighting inside.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Can we, expect to see some small scale
like a
PvP
Coliseum
arenas with like maybe matchmaking systems? This is for anybody that wants to answer.
Yeah, I think just to start off, I think our small scale PvP is one of the best parts of our game. It really shines our combat when we're playing that. And it's something we absolutely want to support.
I'd agree with that. I think that like every time I see like a large scale PvP New World thing, it's like everyone like, go, 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 go! Put down the AoEs! Put down the AoEs! And then there's like fucking 50 AoEs on the ground. Everybody is like, it's like like you ever find, you like pick up a rock and there's like there's like a bug nest under it, and they start fucking squirming everywhere, right? They look like a bunch of cockroaches as soon as you turn over a rock on their nest. And there's like 7 people running away, and like 40 of them are dead on like a giant pile. And you're shooting them with the gun as they're running away. Like, yeah, that's exactly fucking what it is, man. It's exactly what it is.
We do have some things coming down the pipe. I don't know if anybody...
I think the smaller scale is way better,
it's pretty early to talk about them, but I think, arenas is something that we're looking into. I think if we do it, or when we do it, it will, likely be in a phased approach, right? Like we will release an early version of it that may not be as fully featured, and we'll continue to grow it over time.
Iterated on the PTR, that type of stuff,
with players,
with all other new features that we might introduce. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. Like, I would like to be in a fixed where I know it's like 3v3 or 5v5 or whatever the numbers are, PvP experience, because it very rarely ends up that way when you're playing in the open world.
Yeah, we fucking know that, Scott. Like, everybody knows that. You play any PvP game, you know that it's never really a 1v1. And, I would love to see a fucking arena. Like, if they could do an arena where people could actually watch the players play, it wouldn't really work in the same way because you'd want to have like multiple matches going on at the same time. I don't know how you'd figure that. But like, it would be really cool if they had arena. Like just 3v3, 5v5, maybe 10v10. But I think 3v3 and 5v5 would be great. Like just start with 3v3 and then go from there.
So I think it'd be exciting. And you can't hide in a 3v3. So.
Right. Like what we see, happening in the open world right now. People will create a giant circle and make a fight club of sorts and bracket and all of that stuff. So it's exciting to see it already happening and that we're noticing it.
Q as a fighter or as a spectator?
All right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, that's great. Thanks for the answers, guys.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, we covered a lot today, and I think there was some good information that we got out there. Last time you guys did a run of the Merkgard area. Are you going to be doing another run for the community?
Yeah, last night our World Experience team did a playthrough of the Dynasty shipyards on Mutation 4. Stumbled a little bit. It'll be a good watch. Hope everyone enjoys it.
They'll have to tune in.
I actually want to see that just to see what it looks like. That's cool. Yeah. That's actually a good thing. That's cool. Did they finish it this time? Well, I mean,
find out how that one goes. Yeah. And you let us know that you found the first one valuable, so we decided we're going to do a couple more of these. Please let us know if you want us to continue to do them, and you continue to find them valuable. I think we'll find the time to get some more transparency out to the community. On the next episode, we're going to be sitting down with our customer service team, kind of deep diving into how they deal with bots and bans and player reports and things of that nature.
That's going to be a 30-minute video of them reassuring people that will never believe them that the ban system is not automated. They'll be like, guys, it's not automated. People will be like, nope, lying. You lying, And that's going to be the whole thing, man. I can guarantee you. It'll be funny to watch that.
Look right around, what February is up to, and then looking a little forward into March.
I wish that, WoW would do this. Just straight up, a roundtable conversation about the fucking game. Imagine how much better, the player experience would be if we had, Ian and, 2 other people sitting here talking about the game. It'd be great. But, I don't remember the last time that Ian... It's is Ian still even working on WoW? I haven't even heard about Ian for, 3 months. And so, yeah, I do really appreciate these. I think it's great that they were able to put them together. I think the main thing that players are looking for, and, if you're a New World player, you can tell me if you think this is the case. We really want to see, what the philosophy of the game is going forward, right? What the vision of the game is. Because New World is a game whose vision has changed 3 times completely. Right? It used to be a survival game, then it became a survival MMO, and now it's a half survival, half theme park, PvP, PvE, MMO amalgamation, right? That's really what it is. So, understanding what the vision for the game is and what New World is supposed to look like in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year is, I think, what a lot of the players want to see in terms of weapons. And also, another big factor is in terms of zones. We haven't gotten a new zone yet. And, a lot of times I mentioned before, in beta, people were able to exploit and get into the desert zone. So, there are plenty of ways that, or plenty of things that they have ready for us in terms of new content. So we'd like to see that.